This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Back on the 12th of January 2022, I predicted what I thought the 2023 F1 driver lineup would look like. Now, I am an expert in this. I did correctly predict Carlos Sainz to Ferrari, Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren when that move happened. So let's reflect on my full 20 out of 20 predictions correct, right? Maybe?
It's that time of the year again. Predictions. Don't worry, I'm not doing my actual season predictions for 22 until we've seen some testing because there's literally nothing to go on. Half of the entire grid is out of contract at the end of 2022. Gasly, Alonso, Latifi, Perez, Tsunoda, and Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Alex Albon. Carlos.
Hang on. Okay. Gasly, Alonso, Latifi. All moved. Vettel and Schumacher as well. So out of all of those names, it was about half and half for who didn't get their contracts renewed or got their contracts renewed elsewhere.
And we're going to start in Constructors' Championship order, starting with Mercedes. I've debated this one a lot, but I'm saying it will still be Lewis Hamilton and George Russell in that car. George Russell was, of course, a no-brainer.
Correct. George stepped up to the plate. I said he was a no-brainer here. And he delivered. Couldn't have really asked much more from George, right? Yeah, there were a few mistakes, middle, tail end of the season. Sure, still got the win. Isn't that far off Lewis? He's right up there. He outscored Lewis as well. Super impressive first year at Mercedes.
Gone between thinking he's going to retire. I can't say with confidence that I think Lewis is going to win the championship in 22. So I'm saying he stays for 23.
And he didn't. And look, I couldn't have predicted Mercedes would be as far off the pace as it was relative. But then again, it's like new regulations always seem to shake up the pecking order somewhat. You expected Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull with their historical monetary advantage, all the facilities they've got to have a head start, which they have. They've delivered on it. And even Mercedes, by the end of the year, were right up there in qualifying.
You know what I think is really great? Squarespace. Why? Because they help you build websites.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Well, this video is also sponsored by Squarespace. If you want to build your very own online home, Squarespace is the place I've been recommending to you for literally years because I've been using them for even more years. Squarespace has thousands of beautiful drag and drop templates, a brand new system of putting it all together as well, Fluid Engine that they launched last year. You can have a play around and try it completely free of charge. It's only when you want to put your finished website live to the rest of the world that you have to pay anything. And when that time inevitably comes around, head to squarespace.com/TommoF1 to get 10% off your first website or domain.
Then on to Red Bull. Max Verstappen, of course, stays. But alongside him, I've said Pierre Gasly, which is a bit of a long shot.
It was a long shot, and it was a wrong shot. See what I did there? That's not funny.
For me, he's been one of the top 5 drivers in the sport over the last 2.5 years since he went back to Toro Rosso AlphaTauri.
I think ahead of 2022, like you got to say that he had recovered. I think he had recovered his standing amongst the F1 community as a deserving F1 driver. Yes, he got battered by Max, but you know what? That's just what happens because Max is just that good. I think Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez in equal hardware at the top of their powers, I wouldn't put very much between them. I don't really know who I'd put over the other, to be honest. I know Sergio's got more experience, but Gasly is rapid.
Ferrari, we'll do McLaren as well because these two teams, I can't see their lineups changing. It's going to be Charles and Carlos at Ferrari. It's going to be Lando and Daniel at McLaren. I know Daniel had a pretty sus 2021, don't get me wrong, but by the end of the season, he came pretty good. And there's countless drivers who have had poor seasons after doing well, but does that have to define their entire career? No. And I believe in Daniel Ricciardo coming good.
Yeah, look, obviously Daniel, it wasn't just a one-off poor season. I think the fact that his career up until joining McLaren was pretty squeaky clean. You could argue his second season at Renault was one of his strongest, taking a midfield car to a couple of podiums. In a lot of ways, I think is a more difficult job than taking a top car to a win. McLaren were getting a Daniel Ricciardo who was operating at his prime, but he was never able to make that car work for him.
Lando, obviously different gravy. Charles, Carlos as well. Top tier. Why would they change? Easy. Next, we have Alpine. And the first, I'm saying Esteban Ocon and Oscar Piastri. I think Fernando.
What could have been if Alpine didn't fumble? Look, let's be honest, right? The whole Piastri to McLaren, no one saw that coming. That you couldn't have predicted that, okay? I'm giving myself a bit of benefit of doubt here. Also, it's absolutely freezing in this room. It's 7, look, read this, 7.7 degrees. Otmar's been a bit salty talking about, oh, we've got a better lineup now than we would have had anyway with Gasly. Gasly's fantastic, don't get me wrong. Him and Esteban, I think there's very little between them, but an exciting prospect of Oscar Piastri, especially if Alpine are going to be, because look, right now they are the 4th best car, I would say. Like, they are the team looking most likely from a current car performance point of view anyway. Maybe not from a, facility and overall business point of view, but they are looking like they are the next best thing. But I did predict Alonso to leave. It's just that I actually predicted him to retire, which we'll hear about later, I'm sure.
For the sake of keeping Fernando for 2, maybe 3 more years pushing it, I think that'd be foolish. No disrespect to Fernando, but he must have known this was a situation.
It was foolish. And that's exactly what they did. Because they were like, oh yeah, we're going to keep Alonso for a bit longer and give Piastri to Williams. And then Piastri was like, that man, I'm off.
Then on to AlphaTauri. And I'm saying, Yuki Tsunoda, I have belief that he will come good in 2022. And Dennis Hauger alongside it. Formula 3 champion in 2021.
Hauger had an okay 22 in Formula 2. Let me just check how many wins he got, because he definitely won at least one race. Yeah, Hauger got 2 wins and 2 P3s, finished P10. Didn't take to it like a duck to water. He had his moments. He had some shockers as well. I remember in Baku when he just kind of went straight into the wall. I would actually say right now I feel a bit more confidence in Iwasa, but you'll see in my predictions for next season, which is going to be a separate video, which Red Bull Junior makes it, because there's quite a few to choose from now. They've got Maloney in their talent pool, they've got Fittipaldi in their talent pool as well. But again, the Nick De Vries move to AlphaTauri, could anyone have predicted that? Really? Really? I did have faith in Tsunoda. I think that's the W from this take. Okay, the only one I can really hold on to is that Yuki did improve in 2022. Yes, he made some silly mistakes, but he did improve. He did enough, I think, to rightfully give him a 3rd season in that seat. But now he needs to beat Nick De Vries, otherwise he's out of here.
Next we have Aston Martin, and I'm saying no change. I'm saying Sebastian Vettel remains at the team alongside Sir Lancelot. Obviously, Lance is not going to leave. His dad's in charge. It's not going to happen. And to be fair, Lance actually had an okay season.
As we know, this is wrong. I'm the one who went on record saying that I thought the Sebastian Vettel retirement rumours, were absolute nonsense. How wrong I was.
On his day, he can still deliver at the very, very top.
Which he did.
2 podiums in what was 7th quickest car.
Did it in 22 as well.
That's super impressive. Yes, he made his mistakes, but overall, I think Seb can be pretty happy with his 2021 season. It would be a shame for him to not see out that journey, because it is not going to be an overnight success. I don't think anyone was expecting Aston Martin to hit the ground running in 2021.
At the end of the day, Seb left for his own reasons, but it would, from a racing, from a competitor point of view, have been amazing to see him stick it out. He made the decision that's right by him on a human level. Retiring at 35 is quite young by modern standards, I'd say. Hopefully he returns to the paddock in some form in the not too distant future, whether that's in a car or whether that's behind the scenes, because he'd do a great job at both, let's be honest.
And then on to Williams. I'm saying, of course, Alex Albon remains at the team alongside Logan Sargent. That's right, Latifi.
He's done it. I've actually got a prediction correct. Which, look, at the end of the day, this one wasn't exactly the most out there. I mean, Logan had just signed for Williams Junior Academy, had an F2 seat. Obviously, he did have to deliver the results and was the best performing rookie of the season.
Williams know that if they can get him in a Formula 1 seat, yes, they might lose Latifi and the Safina money, but bringing an American driver into the sport, that will do a lot for Williams. That will bring a lot of sponsors. That will bring a lot of merchandise, a lot of eyeballs on that team, having the first American driver in F1 since, was it Alexander Rossi? I can't even remember. And I love Logan Sargent, so this would actually be 100%. I'd be Williams through and through if this did actually happen, because Albon Sargent would just be...
I have Williams for it. Or could I say... Williams, if you're watching, hope you got some better merchandise for 2023, because it was a bit stale in 22. I'm not going to lie, just navy t-shirts.
Next we have Alfa Romeo Sauber. I really hope that they can nail these new regulations, because Sauber's just been very meh team for a very, very long time.
At the start of the year anyway.
But I'm saying in 2023, their driver lineup is an absolute corker. I'm saying they keep Valtteri Bottas and bring in the departing from Red Bull, Sergio Perez, back to Sauber, where it all began for...
I'm sorry, right? This is a tasty little lineup. Right? If this actually happened, Bottas, Perez. Let me know in the comments below. Bottas, Perez. Who would outperform? Who'd do the better job? If I had to go between the two, I think Sergio's got that, a bit more of that dog in him. You know what I mean? He's a bit more aggressive. I would say Bottas is maybe quicker one lap pace, but I think overall, I think Perez would just about eke it out. I was unfair to Joe here because, you look at Joe's F2 career and you look at his junior, performances, and they weren't stellar. Perez got his break in Formula One because of the money that he brought with him as a big component of that, but then established himself as a quality F1 driver who deserves to be there on merit and is no longer called a paid driver, even though that's what got him through the door. You could argue the same with Joe. The money has helped get him through the door, the support, but the talent is clearly there. And hopefully Joe goes on to become this driver who isn't associated with the financial backing that comes with him,
And last but by no means least, at the Uralkali Haas Formula 1 team. I'm saying Nikita Mazepin stays for obvious reasons. We know his dad's money is so engraved in that team. He's not going anywhere.
The only way that Mazepin was going to lose his seat was if some circumstances outside of the sport intervened, because when you got your dad who's supporting you and bringing up all the money, that's actually mad that like 12 months ago the war in Ukraine still wasn't a thing yet.
Then alongside him, I'm saying Guan Yu Zhou and not Mick Schumacher, which means Mick Schumacher is out of a seat in 2023.
That is probably my best prediction of the whole video. Not that I got it right, just that I said that Mick would be out of a seat for 2023. Not to be replaced by Joe. But Joe did a good job. So I kind of predicted that Joe would keep a seat and Mick would leave. I just got the teams wrong. Just let me hold on to a semblance of dignity, okay? Because this is very difficult because I've got a lot wrong.
Got to remember, we're not racing in China this year. And there is no way Guan Yu Zhou's coming into this sport and not going to do a Chinese Grand Prix in 2023.
No, there's not even one. It got canned. There's only 23 races. I say only 23 races. There were meant to be 24. China got struck off and isn't coming back. I feel for Joe as an individual not being able to do his home race. It sucks for him.
As for Mick, obviously that would be tragic for him, but I'd say, he'd probably go into a reserve test role for Ferrari and just be super close to that team.
Oh, close. Not reserve test role for Ferrari. Oh, I just clicked my knee, man. That really hurt. It's so cold in here. Ow. I'm 30 now, so I guess these things are going to start to happen more, aren't they? Bloody hell. He does have that reserve test role, but it's not a Ferrari, it's at Mercedes, which again, I suppose, you could have predicted that, I guess, with Sainz and Leclerc doing well, which I did anticipate they would do well, that Mercedes would pick him up because of the Schumacher name's relationship with that team. So there you go. So final run through the pecking order. Hamilton, Russell, correct. Verstappen, Gasly, incorrect. 1 out of 2 there. It's still Sergio Perez. Leclerc, Sainz, correct. Norris, Ricciardo, incorrect. It's Norris, Piastri. Ocon, Gasly, not Ocon, Piastri at Alpine. So again, 1 out of them. Yuki, Tsunoda, Dennis Hauger, incorrect. Again, 1. Look, none of these I've got. Have I got 0 on any of these? No, I haven't got. No, I have. Haas, I've got 0 on. Top that up. That's 12 out of 20. 12 out of 20. Oh, just over half. It was super silly, all right? Super silly season. So that silliness could not have been preempted. Like, be honest, right? If you got an absolute worldie of a prediction, this time last year, you were like, oh, you know what? I reckon Nico Hülkenberg will be in a Haas. If you predicted that, put that in the comments below. And then everyone else, go to that comment and tell them they're a liar because you didn't predict that, okay? Stop lying. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. My 2024 driver predictions will be coming very soon. I'm going to sort my knee out now because it actually still really hurts and I think I might have done something to it, which is not good. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring. Thanks to you for taking the time to watch what I do. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.